This holiday, Verizon's got the craziest deal.
What's up, good people, and welcome to the Seth Joyner podcast. Welcome in. A lot going on around our birds. Howie Long's going to join me in a sec here, but make sure you guys are following, and sharing the podcast, as well as the Verizon pre and post game show each Eagles game day, and you can also catch the Seth Joyner TV show here. After Wednesday evening. Okay, so I must address the 6 million pound gorilla in the room. A clip came out on WIP. I was on Monday talking about some content that was on our pre and post game show on Sunday night. Derek Gunn, as you guys know, who's a partner and co-host on our pre and post game show, brought up the fact that there are some players and there are some people within the organization that's not happy with Jalen, that Jalen's not doing things particularly the way that the organization wants him to do it. Now, I pushed back originally because I was like, that's not Jalen, doesn't sound like Jalen, son of a coach, played under Nick Saban, Lincoln Riley. And Derek Gunn, who I have the ultimate respect for, pushed back vehemently and said that what he said was true. So when I was asked a question by Joe DeCamera on Monday morning on WIP, hey, what do you think? Is Jalen the problem with this offense? Is there a problem, with him as far as this team is concerned? I said what I said. And I stand on what I say. You guys know me well enough that I don't push anything for clicks, and I could care less what anybody thinks. My truth is my truth, okay? And if Derek told me that this is valid information, it's news, and it's worth us having a conversation about it. And people are going to feel the way that they feel. Understand, I am a Philadelphia Eagle through and through. I want this team to win. I want this city to enjoy as many Super Bowls as it can. But I'm in the business of media now. I am not a player. I'm not a fanboy, even though I want this team to win. I err on the side of fair and balanced journalism. That's what I am. That's what I do. And that's what I represent. I don't do anything for clicks. I could give a damn less about clicks. I could give a damn less about whether people like what I say or what I don't say. I bring my 13 years of NFL experience to each and every show, each and every analysis that I put out. It's my truth, and I stand on it, plain and simple. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. So what? It is what it is, okay? Now, there you have it. You can do with it what you like. You can like it. You can not like it. Doesn't matter to me one way or the other, okay? Because it's news. It's newsworthy. If it wasn't newsworthy, I wouldn't even have brought it up. I wouldn't even have talked about it. Because if I can't believe and trust in my guy that I line up with every single Sunday to cover the Eagles, that's been around this team for 30 plus years, okay? If I can't take him at his word, then what's the point, okay? So that doesn't mean that I'm trying to stir up anything. That doesn't mean that, I want the Eagles to fall apart or anything. What was reported was newsworthy, and it was worthy of us having a conversation about it, okay? Do with it what you will. All right, now on. I want to bring on, because I'm so excited, to have this guy on my show. He is one of the co-hosts of NFL Fox on FS1, Fox on every single game day. He is one of the greatest players to ever play the defensive tackle position. I've got a lot of admiration for not only what he did on the field, but what he's doing in the broadcasting booth right now. NFL Hall of Famer, former Raider, Howie Long. Howie, welcome to the show, my friend.
Villanova Wildcat too. You forgot about that.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Hey,
Oh
Seth,
yeah.
we played in front of 3,000 people there, man. But architecturally, the stadium was built in a way that it made it feel like 12 or 13,000. So it was really it was a juicy kind of place to play. Listen, I'm kind of a Philly guy for a number of reasons. One, having gone to Villanova, I have so many good friends that are, crazy, crazy Philly fans and former teammates in college, and having a son that won a Super Bowl there and going through that experience as a, one, we were there for the NFC Championship game and covered it. And you're on the field and it's kind of it's hard to believe that it's real when it's your son and it's happening so much better than, winning it yourself. And going through that experience and, watching the parade and watching them celebrate, and, him having toiled in St. Louis where they were winning 2 games a year, 3 games a year. And, then going to New England and winning and then coming to Philadelphia. And his experience in Philadelphia was, as good an experience as you could possibly have. I texted you the other night. I really enjoy your stuff. I think you speak the truth. It's not always easy to do, and particularly when you're covering a team, and I think you have to be honest. And I agree with you 100%. You can't be a fanboy. You've got to just, and there's a way to do it.
Right.
You have respect for the people that play. And that's a perspective that, maybe the people that you're working with or people that I've worked with who haven't hit people and been hit. I have a great deal of respect for coaches and the sacrifices they make, the players make. But when you're looking at film and you see it, there's a way to say it. You don't have to scream at people. You don't have to try to grab a headline. You're just trying to give information, and that's your job.
And listen, as a guy, who has always advocated for Jalen Hurts, even when there were those in the city that didn't advocate for him, I did. Okay. So there's nothing that I would ever say, to demean him or make him look bad or anything. I think he's a phenomenal player. Right now, is he playing his best football? Absolutely not. But at the other end of the spectrum, when a story like this comes out, it's worth having a conversation about, and somebody within the Eagles organization wanted this information out there, or else it wouldn't have surfaced. So I don't know exactly, what's going on, what the issues are, but I kind of feel like, Howie, this team kind of thrives off of, the drama. I mean, they've been dealing with it all season long.
It used to be at Fox where, because Dallas, you talk about clicks and all that. I have no idea what that is, but I certainly know what viewers are, and I know the numbers that are generated when some teams are on TV. And if we have Philly in the late box, it's it's a big game. It's Philly and whoever. Like last week, Philly Detroit. That to me, I don't know about you, but those are the games when I get up in the morning and I go, God, I wish I was 28. I told Vic that. I communicated with Vic during the week and I said, God, I wish I was 28, 27 years old. And he said, that's the competitor in you, but they're the games you love to cover also. And, I've said this about Jalen is such a fascinating guy. He really is. He seems like it's like the duck on the water where, it looks really calm above the water. And I don't know what's going on under the water, but those legs have got to be paddling. He has, and I've had this conversation with Tom Brady, and, the one thing that we both go back to is he's played big in the biggest of games. And you could make the case that in the 2 Super Bowls, he was the best player on the field.
No doubt.
And, certainly in the last one and, being an MVP and all that I said this on air last week and, because I'm not in the building, and I don't know what the play calls are. I do know what the routes look like. and they're rudimentary. I do know that there's not a lot of bunch formations where, it's like you watch the Rams and you go, why is Puka Nacua always open? Or, whatever team, fill in the blank of whatever team you want. You say, why is this guy always open? How is McVay getting him open? And how does the guy up in Seattle get open all the time? Part of it is, I think, it's scheming, and part of it is ability. And I said last week, I think there's, at the very least, there's a disconnect. I'm not sure where it is, whether it's, head coach, play caller, it's quarterback, it's wide receiver, but if you look at the route tree they run and the throws that are made, and whether it was kind of an overreaction to, a few years ago when he had all the interceptions, and just pulling back from that, and he just doesn't throw interceptions, and I look at other offenses where there's multiple crossers, and what's challenging to prepare for. What's challenging to prepare for is pre-snap shifts, bunch formations where you've got to sort out who's covering who and all that. There's not a lot of that stuff. It's really not complicated. And I think a number of things have kind of contributed to that also is, you've had problems at the left guard position physically. You've had problems at the center position physically. You talk about Becton, you lose him through free agency, and I'm not sure what the number would have taken to get him there. And Lane being out is certainly, and bringing Fred Johnson in has been a godsend. But when you break Fred, here's the thing about Lane. Lane's a mute button. You put him over there and you press mute, because I don't care who it is. I told Lane, I said, it's boring. Watching you play is boring. He said, well, I have to tell you, it's not boring what I'm playing. And it's not easy to do. And I said, I know it's not easy to do, but you are a dominant player. And when you don't have that kind of guy, you have to compensate with maybe the tight ends not getting out as much. Maybe initially, you want the kind of initial solid double and then release late. They do not work the middle of the field a lot. There are not a lot of, if you notice, a lot of anticipation throws. He wants to see the guy open. Now, he's really comfortable with go route and comebacks and, that stop route on the outside. And like I said, there's a disconnect, and I'm not in the building, so I don't know what's going on. And I'll tell you this. I said it in the pregame before the game versus Detroit. And I said, this past week, with the addition of Phillips and DeJean, and Nakobe Dean back, and I can't say enough about him. My gosh, he's got to elevate when you go in the meeting room on Monday and somebody's playing like that, you either raise your game or you're embarrassed, to tell you the truth. And Phillips has been a great addition. When you have a defense like that, is it an organizational coaching kind of philosophy of, well, Vic's got the group, we've added the pieces, Jackson's playing better, DeJean, and it's the whole Blankenship. Everyone plays. I mean, Blankenship's hit down on the goal line was tremendous, and 5 fourth downs and 5 blocked passes. I mean, that interior dominated the game. And to have, Nakobe Dean back, listen, the guy he trucked at the running back position on the blitz is a card carrying bad man. And it didn't look, it looked easy. And he made Jared Goff. And listen, I saw Jared Goff with the Rams. I saw Jared Goff versus Vic when Vic was in Chicago. You remember that game up in Chicago?
Yep.
And Bill Belichick took the exact game plan and duplicated it in the Super Bowl and held him, I think, to 3 points. And that was the end of Jared Goff there. If Jared Goff is on time, he turns it back to the defense, he plants his feet. If he's clean and Williams scares you to death and Gibbs scares you to death because they have something, God puts a hand on some people's shoulders and they say, this is what you got. And my man Gibbs, boy,
yeah, he's special.
So maybe is it the coordinator? Is it the head coach? It's the philosophy of we're just not going to turn the ball over. We're going to play conservative. We're going to play dink and dunk, throw it away. He ran a little bit more this past week, and I thought that's a part of his game that opens other things up for other people.
No, absolutely. Let's go, offense, defense, because I think that some of the issues with the Eagles is a confluence of everything. I think it's play calling, the lack of creativity. I've been talking about that all year. I think that, the reason Saquon is struggling is because the offensive line isn't playing as dominant as they played last year. I believe that, they're trying to protect Jalen in two ways. They're limiting how much he throws the ball to cut down on the turnovers, but they've taken the RPO and the read option away. And I said it, last year, you could see it plainly after the week 16 loss, when he got knocked out of that game, they shut Saquon down. Saquon had like 27 yards rushing in the second half. And I said right then and there, Jalen Hurts is as much of a reason why Saquon had the type of year he had last year as the success of the offensive line.
Can't account for him.
Because every single time that they run the read option or the RPO, they're playing 11 on 10 because that defensive end has to stay home and respect the fact that he may take off and run. The Eagles aren't using much RPO and much read option action this year. I think that that's missing from the offense. I already talked about, the issue, and you brought up the issues on the offensive line. Until they remedy that, and until they make the decision that we're going to reinsert a little bit. Now, I'm not saying, there were times last year where Jalen was running the ball 14, 15 times a game. I'm not talking about that much. But to make them have to play you honest with the RPO and the read option, you sprinkle it in maybe 6, 7, times per game. And they're going to screw it up every once in a while and go down on Saquon, and Jalen's going to get around the corner for 10 yards. Be smart, get what you can get down. You don't have to try to get any extra because they're coming to try to hurt you and knock you out of the game. But until they reinsert that into what they do and get more creative from a route standpoint, they don't run clean routes. I was just talking to Ron Jaworski via text the other day. I said, Ron, when I watch AJ, there's not a whole lot of separation. Why? Because they just run routes. They don't get to the top and stem their routes. They don't set their routes up. They just run routes. And when you're short to intermediately trying to pass the ball, that means the defensive back, I don't have to try to get back because I'm not worried about you taking off on me. I know that all your routes are within a 10-yard frame, so I'm just going to sit on everything and squat and break.
Look at the throw chart.
Yes.
Just look at the throw chart. I'm a big fan of a couple of things can, I think, stymie, a great defensive front. And, one is extra bodies. And, you look at what McVay did. McVay's 11 personnel, period. That's all he does. And all of a sudden he's 13. He's 14. You name 3-4 tight ends in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps in protection. It helps in the run game. And it helps in mismatches when you get those tight ends bunched and you've got one that's a great receiver. The play action pass is it's your 30th in play action pass. So in play action pass, what happens? 1, you're under center. 2, you're turning your back to the defense. I don't think they want him turning his back to the defense.
Well, Howie, they did it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
But it was the numbers are not, they're not enough to where it warrants, we've got to pay attention to this, as a defense. It's like you said, when you open the game up, Denver opened the game up last week with a max protection go route. And they sent a message to Kansas City, we're going over the top. Now, if you don't do that, or if you're not running, multiple types of routes, if you're on a stop and come back or you're in a go, as a DB, it makes it so much easier to defend. If you and I are, if it's as simple as that with the run game and all that, you know what it turns into, Seth? An Oklahoma drill.
True.
And for people who don't know an Oklahoma drill, you drop two pads down 5 yards apart, and it's a 10-yard space, and it's two blockers, two defenders, one running back.
Right.
And if you can't win that as a defender, I'm how many Oklahoma drills did you lose?
As a linebacker, not many.
Not
as a running back, a whole lot of them.
A whole lot, but I mean, that's what it really comes down to. It comes down to this. I know exactly what they're doing. Then it makes it even harder on Saquon. It makes it harder on the offensive line. And when you're doing 6 or 7 tush pushes in a game, whether you want to or not, it's helmets and it's this and it's this and it's this. And I don't think a guy there, if you got them privately, would say, look, when it gets to number 6, up in Kansas City, how many tush pushes were there? There were a lot. And as a guy who's had his neck done and back done twice, shoulder replaced, you name it, I've had it. It wears on you,
Yeah, I think one of the other things too, you talk about the consistency of where players are and how you're going to play them. When you look at A.J. Brown, they play him at the X primarily. Whether you're in 2x2 or whether you're in 3x1, he's the backside X by himself. He's lined up right around the numbers. So that already tells you what routes he's running. He's going to run a speed out. He's going to run a stop route. He's going to run a go route. And he's going to run a slant. That's it. He's good enough to put him in the slot and move Jahan Dotson outside where you get him on the move or you get him in a bunch. Yeah. And now you can free him up. Can you imagine A.J. Brown running the option route in the middle of the field against man coverage? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I saw him walking down the tunnel in Kansas City, and I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so my thing is, Howie, if, we who analyze the game, to get paid to analyze the game and just break the game down, and we spend, I'm sure you spend a significant amount of time as well as I do because you're covering the entire NFL.
My wife says I need a hobby. I need a hobby. I said I have a hobby.
But I mean, you have to have the information in order to be able to analyze it the proper way. But these coaches are spending 15, 16 hours a day doing it. You mean to tell me that all the things that you're seeing, and in this copycat league that is the NFL, that you can't take some pieces here and there and implement some of these things into this offense to make it a little more dynamic?
I said to Jalen, we had him on the set after the Kansas City game, and, to be that patient to make that one big throw on the blitz and throw it up. He throws a great deep ball, but this was a moon ball. And it's the play of the game, but he had to wait all that time to make. How patient do you have to be to have that impact on the one play when everything else is check here, throw out here? It's an out, it's a quick slant, it's whatever. It was a lot of slants.
But Howie, listen, in my opinion, it's like playing defense. Okay. Because I played for some great defensive mind, Buddy Ryan, Bud Carson's, their thing always was, okay, as a defense, you have to earn the right to rush the passer. You have to earn the right in order for me to call blitzes. How? By stopping the run, okay? Offensively, it's the exact opposite. You have to earn the right for explosive plays. Now, that's a catchphrase that we hear all over the NFL. Oh, explosive plays. Oh, you got to throw the ball. Oh, but you have to earn that. How do you earn that? You earn that by running the football, putting the defense in a deficit or getting a lead, okay, and then forcing the defense to do some things that they might not necessarily want to do, and then saying, okay, that's my matchup, okay? I can take a shot here. I got single high, they got zero blitz. I can take a shot here. I can max it up and take a shot down the field. Defenses aren't going to let you just throw the bomb down the field just because you want to. The situation has to be right for that. And you have to set that by how you play your offense leading up to that. So you talk about being able to wait. Well, the game got into a crucial situation
Ooh.
where it was close. And now all of a sudden, the Green Bay Packers decide, oh, we're going to come after him on this play. He read it. He saw it. Boom. They hit the big play. But
Kansas City, same thing. And here's the thing. If I'm defending the Eagles offense and I'm defending the Eagles, who have they beaten? And they've done it a lot on the road. Every big, playoff team, with the exception, the Denver game, they let that go. That was had no business losing that game. But the games they won, and here's the deal. It's like, I don't know if you watched the World Series, a great World Series, and here I am on a Saturday night. I got to get up at 4:30 in the morning because we're at work at 5 a.m. out in LA. And I'm watching this damn World Series, and it was captivating. The thing about our game is, the other thing that Philly is, has in their mind, and I'm sure Kansas City to a certain extent always had in their mind, it's not the best of 7, it's not the best of 5, it's not the best of 3. It's one game. Yep. And if we get in, then all the fireworks start, and we got to win one game. Kansas City, just if they can get in, last week is right up until this last loss, Kansas City was favored to go to the Super Bowl, and they weren't in right now if the playoffs started today, and that was last week. Philadelphia, to me, is the same kind of animal. Where in a one-game set, when you're telling me, let's say Lane's on IR, I don't know if they're going to put him on IR, if he is or not, and it's 4 weeks, and you get Lane back, and the left guard's in, and the center's in, and you've got the group, the gang's all here. I'm taking Philly in a one-off. It's a one and done. That's it. With that defense, the way it's playing right now, that's the closest I've seen to the Super Bowl, that defense.
And I tell you what, as we shift over to the defensive side of the ball, I think the Jalen Phillips trade was an absolute blockbuster that we're going to look back on as the point in time where this defense turned the corner. I think Nakobe Dean, you brought him up. He's a big deal because he is a pure run stopper. He had some great plays last week against the pass as well.
He's a bullet.
Absolutely. So and people have asked me, what is it that Jalen Phillips brings? Like back in our day, that's what a defensive end looked like.
Right.
These little,
so funny.
These little rush guys.
I didn't know a lot about Jalen Phillips. And I knew, knowing Vic, and I go back to San Francisco with Vic, and we covered them there, and love that group. And that group was physical and tough, and a lot like Philadelphia. It's that kind of your defense. It's that kind of a mindset. And I thought to myself, who do they're missing that. They're missing BG. They were missing that physical presence, set the edge. I'm going to go down the V of your neck. And, and then I looked at the kid and I'm like, he's 6'5", 260. He's not one of those kind of little pass rushers who's like 240.
He's not an edge rusher. He's a defensive
grown-ass man. and I didn't realize it till I saw him, kind of where he's on the focal point, because he's in Miami. We don't cover Miami a lot, and they're not on our network a lot. And to see him, and I talked to Vic about him, and he just said, and Vic's not a wine and roses. You want long walks on the beach, don't go with Vic. Vic is not a warm and fuzzy guy. So when he has something good to say about somebody, you should listen.
Hey, listen, I tell you, man, I think that he is a difference maker. Dean's a big difference maker in the run, because leading up to when Dean came back, they were surrendering about 121 yards per game on the ground. Since he's been back, if you take away the 25 yards that that Jordan Love had in the Packers game,
Yeah.
they're averaging right around 70, 75 yards a game given up over the last 3 weeks. That's major.
Quarterbacks have always been a problem for Vic. You know, that type of guy that can pull it down and go. You know, some people, it's like, you know, I think Detroit, when I first really recognized what a great job the defensive coordinator from Detroit was doing, was the game against Baltimore. You know, when it was the way they just, you know, kind of mixed it up. It was a spy. He shows he's coming. He drops off, and they did a great job. They really did.
Well, you know, I'm continuously amazed at Vic. Vic comes in here last year. He takes the 31st ranked defense, transforms it into the first ranked defense, and they win the Super Bowl. This defense is not ranked very well coming into 3 weeks ago. All of a sudden, you get N'Kobe Dean back, you get BG back, you get the trade for Phillips, and all of a sudden, they're playing lights out.
Jackson's making some plays.
Yep, absolutely. And guess what? The synergistic nature of being able to now get a consistent pass rush makes life easier on Adoree Jackson on the outside.
The pocket goes like that now.
But Howie, that play at the end
versus let's double the eight. Carter, there's photos of him all over the opposing team's locker room. You know, this is the guy we need to block.
Yeah, but I mean,
and you know what? And been there, done that, and it's hard. You know, when you the inside move isn't there because that center's in your rib cage or the guard's in your rib cage. You know, I mean, they're on you like white on rice. He needed help, and he's kind of a little bit rejuvenated right now. Carter is.
Well, I've always thought that, you know, from a strategic standpoint, I've always felt like, okay, if you're going to play Jalen Carter in a 3, then you need to put that other tackle in a 2-eye or 1.
1, yeah.
To prevent that center from turning back.
Or walk a backer up and
or sugar him. Sugar him up on the center to delay it, because he's most effective when you can get him in the one-on-ones, but depending on how you align, they're going to turn that center to him every single time and double him. But to go back on Adoree Jackson, okay, the play in the end zone where he's on St. Brown, the play late in the game when he knocks the ball down on the sideline. He's not trying to make those types of plays, you know, 3-4 weeks ago. What's happening is now you got a dependable pass rush that's now going to allow our corners to play just a little bit more aggressive, because they play a lot of bend but don't break, particularly when they get a lead, and it drives me crazy.
Mitchell's fun to watch. God.
He's special.
He's like, I played with a guy named Mike Haynes, who's one of the best ever, and Mike was like Lane Johnson. He was boring. It was our guys didn't even get in the huddle because they were in cover 1 or cover 3. We didn't blitz. We blitzed maybe once a game, and it was a 4-man front on 3rd down. It was a 3-man front 1st and 2nd down, and you earned the right to get to 3rd down.
Right.
And you know, you were hoping to get to 3rd down, and Lester was on one side and Mike Haynes is on the other. This group is fun to watch, and Mitchell, I think playing cornerback athletically is maybe the most complicated thing to do in football.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing.
You're playing against another guy that runs probably a 4.3 or low 4.4.
Yeah.
And guess what? He knows where he's going, and you're guessing. You're trying to guesstimate all the time. And
the only time you get in trouble is like on the Williams play, that crosser. When he hits that crosser and you get caught in any kind of, if you're diverted in any way or if you're a step off, he just puts on the jets.
But you know why? You know why too, though, Howie? I talk about it all the time. See, in my day, we always played man coverage, inside technique, okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to jam you. I'm going to let you release outside. I'm going to get on your inside hip, a yard behind and a yard inside. You run the out route, I'm in the window. You run the in route, I'm in the window. You run a stick nod, I'm still in the window. You got to throw it over the top, and I've got a safety coming off the hash that's going to blast you. Okay. The only route that you're afraid of in single high safety is the corner route, because the good quarterback is going to look this way, okay, to pull the safety over just a little bit.
Yeah.
And that slot guy or the slot fade, and this guy's going to run a corner route the other way. And guess what? When he sticks his foot in the ground to the middle of the field and he goes to the sideline, you're toast. Okay. So now that's the only reason, logical reason why I see why teams are playing so much outside technique. So if you get a guy like Jameson Williams and you're playing outside technique and he jabs you.
Gibbs had 4 catches for 100 plus.
Howie, he jams you outside and takes off across the field. You're not catching him. You're not catching him.
I remember one time we were playing Chicago. It was a game at the Coliseum. We were at the far end of the Coliseum, and I'm playing left end, base end, 5 technique, 2 gap, and it's a run my way. And the next thing you know, it's this wide receiver comes from out of nowhere. It's Willie Gall. And he starts running, and I'm saying to myself, this isn't Delaware we're playing. And 2, I've never seen anything move that fast in my life. And I remember because the play ended up, it was right before the half, and the play ended up going down to like the 20-yard line. And at the other end of the field, Lyle Alzado and Jimbo Covert, who happen to be both left-handed, are in a fight. And usually those fights get broken up, what would you say, 10 seconds in, 15 seconds in? Nobody was down there because Willie had run this reverse. And here's Lyle and Jimbo Covert, both left-handed, both have each other by the mask, and they're both throwing. And initially they're throwing fast haymakers, and then it's like it's that Energizer Bunny, boom, 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 boom. That when you see somebody like that, and I said that to Vic. I said, Williams and Gibbs just scare you to death. They really do, and that's why in a close game like that, to force that many 4th downs off the field, it's like fun. And I think your head coach talked about it. It's a turnover, and it's and in a couple of cases it took 3 points off the board, and that's what scares you when you're that close with a team like that, because those 2 guys can go to the house.
The issue is, and this is understated. The Eagles on defense are ranked 4th in red zone in the National Football League at 48%. It's a big deal because it's saved this team in a lot of instances. Like last week, I said, okay, they had 5 4th down stops, 5 turnovers on downs, rather. Okay. They foiled the fake punt and they got an interception. Okay. 7 turnovers is really what it amounts to. And the Eagles offense only accounted for 3 points off of those 7 turnovers.
How much of that success and that ability on defense, dictates how aggressive you are with a game plan? I'm sure it does factors in, but how much does it factor in? And that's where the disconnect is. The disconnect is it the play caller? Is it the head coach? Is it the quarterback? Is it, what is it?
Are you talking about from the Eagles standpoint, knowing that they have that in their back pocket?
Yes.
Well, conventional wisdom would say that Nick Sirianni would be a lot more aggressive. I think that, ever since week 5 or week 6 of last year, week 6 last year when they came back off the bye, he's been a lot less aggressive. Unless it's a tush-push situation, they've gone for it a lot less than he has in his previous 4 years of being a head coach. I don't know whether it's, to your point, because the defense maybe last year wasn't as good in the red zone as they are this year. I don't know that to be factual. I'm just assuming. But to your point, if you're playing red zone defense the way that you are, you would think, at least Dan Campbell's probably going to be a hell of a lot more aggressive than he already is. And I think that, in a lot of ways, he probably cost the team the game, going for it as many times as he did.
Because Dan is I love watching Dan. He is really, he's cut from the same cloth, as you and me.
Oh, he's old school.
He's about as old school as it gets, and I think he's someone who also doesn't run from, hey, listen, I screwed up, that's on me, and I got a little too aggressive in some situations, and I don't know if there was a kind of an abort call on the punt, where if you don't get the exact look you thought you were going to get, they call it off and it wasn't called up. I don't know any of that.
Howie is just it's bravado, because you know what they did? They went defense stay on the punt. They were in defense stay. That should have been an automatic abort right there.
I no, that's the point. And I don't know if that's hubris. It's like what are we doing here? Or in a game like that where points are at a premium, if you're in position to kick a field goal, kick a field goal.
No, listen, if they take the field goals that were makeable, and they
Yes.
punt the ball where they did where they
Yeah,
went
but it's
for
at
it
the
and shouldn't
45
have.
or 50.
Yeah. I mean, it was overkill to me. And I tweeted during the game, I was like, man, Dan Campbell just can't help himself, can you? But he's the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Dan. Because those plays are the plays that set them up. It wasn't like the Eagles defense was marching up and down the field and this was going to be some type of shootout where you felt like you had to score points to keep pace. It's not like playing against the Kansas City of old where you get to midfield, you better convert, and because you gotta take advantage of this possession, because that every time they get it, they may score. It wasn't that type of scenario. All he had to do was take the field goals that were available to him and then punt the ball in situations where it needed to be punted, but he just could not help himself.
I think that team has really, I think their coordinator has done a great job on defense. He really, really has. And, they were depleted in the secondary and they had that kind of a night and played that kind of a game. I love the intensity they play with. They're a very physical team. And I think they're going to try to get that figured out in the offensive line and get that interior figured out. Listen, when those guys are playing the way they were inside, Carter and, Ajomo and, you've got
Davis.
Like you said, the Kobe Dean is coming late on a blitzer and he's ISO'd on the back because that's Minnesota did that. They ISO'd and it was Gibbs. They were forcing Gibbs to stay in, and Gibbs is, listen, we all talk about how great Gibbs is. That's not what Gibbs does. Now, Montgomery is another guy.
I've seen him stone many linebackers coming in there one-on-one.
And I saw that collision and I went, oh my gosh. He ran through him like it was really amazing. He's
as a linebacker,
he's got my attention.
As a linebacker, it was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, he's got my attention. He really does. But Detroit's going to get it figured out. The quarterback took a step back. I don't know where he is mentally after this game. I mean, certainly it wasn't great. The conditions were not good. From what I gather, it was windy. That maybe contributed to it also. But he was off his – you got him off his mark. And he's not a quarter. He's not a quarter. I saw him with the Rams. I saw him put up 46, 50 points. I think it was against the Vikings one week when he was with the Rams. It was one of the great shootouts. And when he's on his spot and you let him in, if they run the football and the play action pass, he can tear you up. But if you get him off his spot just a bit, the ball goes in the ground.
You know what the key to that offense is? Before I want to kind of go around the NFL after this comment. The blueprint for Jared Goff, okay? I think that Sean McVay figured out after the Super Bowl that he could not win the Super Bowl with Jared Goff as his quarterback. And it's not a knock on Jared, it's just factual. Jared, even when he was coming out as a quarterback, when I evaluated him, I said he is pressure adverse. He does not handle pressure well. Sean McVay saw the New England Patriots came out in the 5-man front and rushed him one-on-one all day long, and they decimated him in that game. Low-scoring game. He couldn't get anything going. He goes to Detroit, and Dan Campbell repurposes him. But the key to that offense, the key to Detroit's offense is the run game.
Yeah.
Because if you can get that run game under control, and what I did was last week, I don't think I have it in my notes here, but what I did is I went back and I looked at the 3 games that Detroit lost this year coming into the Eagles game. In all 3 of those games, they held their running game well under 100 yards. Okay. So
I think it was the Vikings was 3-1 or 2-9 a carry.
Yeah. So what they are is we're going to run the ball, we're going to pound you with Montgomery, we're going to slash you with Gibbs, and then we're going to go play action pass off of it, and we're going to throw it with rhythm and timing all day long. And when the running game is working, he is virtually unstoppable with those weapons. But when you shut down the run and you force him into, and I said it last week on my podcast, I'm like, if you shut down the run and you force Jared Goff to throw the ball 40 times, the Eagles can win this game. He threw the ball 37 times last week. Okay. Yeah. So I just, I think that's the blueprint for beating him, for beating that offense.
I think you probably agree with me. I think he's a good coach. He is, I'll tell you what, if there's a guy, the really good coaches, and I think your guy in Philadelphia, he's a walk-around coach. And Jimmy Johnson was a walk-around coach. Mm-hmm. Walk-around coach is not a slight. You've got your hand in a little bit of everything, but you're the guy on Monday morning. You're the guy that sets a tone for the week. You're the guy at the end of practice on Wednesday, at the end of practice on Thursday. You're the last person you hear before you walk on the field. Can your culture sustain? Detroit has a great culture. They've got great players. They're going to get it figured out. Listen, when you're kind of the rock of your offensive line retires a month and a half before camp for Detroit, that really, really was kind of there was a domino effect to the interior 3, and that popped up in week 1, and it popped back up, again last week.
Okay, so quick question, then I want to get to, some other stuff going on around the NFL. The Eagles, the way that they're playing, it seems to me that offensively they may be what they are. The type of changes that need to happen, those normally happen in the offseason. So they very well may be what they are and what they're going to be for the rest of the year. The defense is going like this. Is it sustainable for the rest of the year into the playoffs and for another Super Bowl run?
I don't know which movie I'm watching. I've got my popcorn, I've got my soda. I spent my $20 to get in the theater with my wife, and I'm not sure. And I wasn't sure last year, because you remember the bye and all that, and everything changed, and we're going to run the football, and we're going to do this and do that. If they can get the offensive line healthy in the big games, this kid has played big in the biggest of games, and he has it in his DNA. I'm not sure what the disconnect right now is. They're just not they're not multiple. They're not complex. They're very simple, and they've had issues with the offensive line. If they can get in, like I said, and get everyone in the lineup, if they can get Lane in the lineup, the left guard's healthy, who's a big part of that, and the center is a big part of it. That tush-push doesn't work quite as well when you don't have all those guys. Mm-hmm. If they can do that, I think Philadelphia is, as apt to win the Super Bowl as anyone else.
All right. So let's jump around the NFL. First, we got the Jamar Chase suspension. He just stood right in front of everybody and lied and said he didn't do it when he knew full well. Is one game enough with the lie?
I think somebody said it was $500,000.
Well, he's making
Hey, I remember I made 38 grand my rookie year. I had a used Coupe de Ville, and I was in Oakland. It was powder gray with velour interior. And I lived with a guy named Cedric Hardman, who was Joe Green's roommate at North Texas. And I was living the life, man. My check was $1,007. I remember when Joe Klecko and Mark Gastineau signed $500,000 deals. And I thought, oh my God. Bill Pickell and I were sitting on the plane going to a road game. If I had $500,000, oh my God, I'd be set for life. 500 a game? Oh, that's a lot.
Well,
Hey, listen, he the big part of it is just, own it. You did it, own it. I don't know what the beef was or what was going on, but own it. And, listen, you can't go in the locker room and say, I didn't do it. Own it. We've all made mistakes. I mean, you've done things that I'm sure
Oh yeah.
Listen, I've done some things that, I kind of shake my head and go, golly, the 65-year-old me says, what were you doing at 25?
Okay, so the 5-5 Chiefs done?
No, I'm not yet. Denver, like Denver's been getting their lunch money taken by them for quite some time. Sean Payton is a really good coach. The kid at quarterback is hard to figure out, but he plays big at the end of games. So I think, that defense is so good. Even without their number one corner, they're so good. And they're going to get their number one corner back. Kansas City, I'm looking at their schedule right here. Kansas City has, we can go through they're way down the bottom here. 5-5, Houston, Texas, Kansas City. Kansas City's got Indianapolis. They've got Dallas, who now all of a sudden, I'm not sure how much we can glean from, the game this past week against the Raiders. Houston and that defense, boy, you watch them play. LA Chargers, they're beat up. They just got mauled. I'm not sure. Herbert's been getting beat up. At Tennessee, they've got Denver one more time, and they've got Las Vegas. What's the number they need to get to? I think the number they need to get to is probably 10. What do you think?
With 7 to go? I mean, with that record, with that schedule, it sounds like they could potentially get there.
Yeah,
but,
and they're one of those teams, if they can get there, coordinator, been there, done that. Quarterback, been there, done that. Travis looks like he's, in good shape. They've got speed. They got the young left tackle back from he had a personal issue. And that really has a ripple effect on that line. When he's out, it's a totally different group.
Okay, so Indy and the Broncos sit atop the AFC right now. You already alluded to, you're not sure what Bo Nix is. Daniel Jones took a step back, in time, last week as well. What are your thoughts on those two teams as the AFC leaders?
Indy, you're talking Indy, and you're talking
Denver.
If Denver has nowhere to go but up on offense. One, I like their offensive line. They're not a dominant team outside. They're good. They're not a dominant team. They don't have a guy that you break the huddle and scares you to death. Sean Payton is a great coach. And he believes in, Bo Nix a great deal. We saw him finish last year up strong. And, last week was a sign of kind of, he's done it late in games. How these young guys, how you get through 3 quarters of just bad, and then it's 1 quarter of good. J.J. McCarthy's another guy I can't figure out. I can't figure him out. But anyway, I like Denver. Indianapolis is probably the most complete team. DeForest Buckner, if DeForest Buckner's not back, once IR, I think he's got another 2 weeks. Once IR ends, if he's not back, I think that's a big blow for them. I think he impacts their shot. This kid in New England, I'm going to tell you, I saw him take 5, knowing he was going to take, I'm throwing this ball I'm going to throw it accurate, and I know you're going to punch me in the face as soon as the ball goes out of my hand. And he didn't blink. Vrabel's done a great job there. They play good defense. The culture is automatically, he's kind of like a Dan Campbell guy, but probably he was the guy when he played in New England, they said the only guy that ever questioned the game plan was Mike Vrabel as a player.
Wow.
He was just one of those guys that you knew he's so smart. You know he was going to be a coach. His culture, and they hit on it's like quarterback, Pop Warner to middle school, to high school, to college, to professional football is the hardest thing to pick. And they hit the lotto with Drake May. So like I said, in a one-game thing where Mike Vrabel preaches, let's not beat us, let them beat themselves. And that's the kind of game they play.
Daniel Jones, believer?
The Darnold thing and the Jones thing, I've kind of rooted for both of them. Particularly Darnold. Last year when he had 9 sack, three interception game at the end of the year when Minnesota's line fell apart, and with each interception he threw last week, I was just because everything I heard from him leading up to the game was, I'm going to take what's there. I'm not going to force things. In the second play of the game, I'm like, what are you doing? And, but the one thing he has amnesia, because at the end of the game, he makes 2 of his best throws. And they're in position indoors to kick a 61-yard field goal to win the game despite 4 interceptions. I like Seattle. I like the Rams a lot. I think they're 2 really good football teams. They scare me. I think the defense in Philadelphia is a lot better than the defense they saw when they came to Philadelphia. And had no business losing that game. They should have won that game.
Okay. Bears on top of the NFC North. For real.
Caleb he is as entertaining a guy. I'm telling you, isn't he fun to watch? He's shucking people off his back. 2 weeks ago, he avoided 7 sacks. And, the kind of, as a defender, and this, whether it was Elway or whoever, Randall, make him go to his left. Do not lose contain on the left side, right? This kid is as comfortable flipping his hips full speed on the left side as he is going right. And he made 4 or 5 throws in the game 2 weeks ago and one particularly rolling out to his right under pressure. And it was a dart in the end zone. And he had like 6 guys had drops. He's special. The defense, if the defense doesn't get turnovers, they're not they're not there yet. Right. I like Dennis Allen. I'm a fan of what they're trying to get accomplished, but they don't have the Nakobe Dean. They don't have a Carter. They don't have a dog there.
All right, and to wrap, the top 2 teams in the NFC, you got the Eagles and the Rams. The Rams seem to be the most consistent. The Eagles have already beat them, so they hold the tiebreaker. And the Eagles just keep on finding a way to win despite all the turmoil. What's the picture between the 2 of them?
I think if it's played in Philadelphia, it's going to be a tough game for the Rams to win. And you go back to the end of that game after 3 quarters of, virtually nothing. And you just said, you know what? My guy's better than your guy. And it's one of the reasons why they ended up making a move for a cornerback in free agency. They picked up an extra corner. But, my 225-pound wide receiver and the Slim Reaper, who I don't know how he gets up after he gets hit. What does he weigh?
165.
I'll tell you what, I love him. I think he's great. And those 2 guys are better than the guys outside. Now, once again, that would be a big game. And Jalen has played big in the biggest of games. And that game earlier in the year was a big game, So I would say Eagles at home. But home field is huge for Philadelphia.
For sure. It's a major, major advantage. No doubt about it. Howie, man, that's an hour, man. We could probably do 2 hours.
You know what? I could do football for, golly, Seth. That's all I do.
Listen, man.
I have no hobbies. I don't play golf.
It's all good, man.
Always good to see you, man. Much respect. You are. I told Chris, I said that right there. That's a football player.
Well, listen, man. I appreciate it. I know that my viewers, the Villanova alumni, are happy to see your face. And I appreciate your time, man. I know you got a lot going on. So thank you for the last 60 minutes. It's been an absolute blast.
It's been a pleasure. Anytime, partner. I look forward to seeing you down the road. Hopefully I'll see you in the playoffs.
You got it, man. Take care.
All right, partner.
All right, y'all. That's the show for tonight. Hope you enjoyed it, because I certainly did. We'll be right back here next week. Same place, same time, with another great show for you. And, my motto, man, take care of each other and be good to each other. But most important, make sure you love each other. All right? See you next week. Go Birds.
Get the powerful new iPhone 17, iPad, and Apple Watch, all for $0. No trade-in needed on any plan.
There's a number on the screen.
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 There is a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come join our team.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
Gentlemen, are you ready for a wardrobe update? Introducing Divine Nine's Custom Menswear, your clothier for truly unique, custom-made threads. With Divine Nine, you can design your own one-of-a-kind suit, jacket, slacks, shirts, golf pants, and shorts, perfectly handcrafted by our skilled artisans who will bring your vision to life. Prepare to stand out from the crowd with Divine Nine's Custom Clothier, official clothier of Seth Joyner. Custom clothing made for you.
At Mid-Penn Bank, we believe in the power of community. We're not just another bank, we're your bank. We're also your neighbor. For over 150 years, we've been helping dreams come true, financing projects that make a difference locally. From small businesses to community centers, we're here to support what matters most to you, donating time and resources to strengthen the Philadelphia region. And when Philly's favorite superstars need a bank they can trust, they turn to Mid-Penn Bank just like you can. Mid-Penn Bank. Stronger communities, stronger futures. Let's build something great together.
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges, from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.